Even
Yo!
do you think Zach Wilson can make those atrocious-looking Broncos uniforms beautiful?
No.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can.
No. Only Alex Moran, Thad Castle, and I can't remember the running back's name, but all those guys. It looks like the Blue Mountain State jerseys. I'm making a Blue Mountain State joke.
Gotcha. That went a little over my head. I've
Yeah.
seen a few episodes, but don't really know the show intimately.
Yeah. The running back, Radon Randell, who comes out with his reality show called Dreams.
All I know is the dude that's on Jack Reacher was on that show, and now he's blowing up.
Yeah. Literally blowing up. He's done a lot of steroids, a lot of HGH.
Yeah, didn't he admit to that, like on the Rich Eisen show or something? He was just like, yeah, I usually people talk about my eating habits and what I got to do to maintain this physique. I eat whatever I want, and then I take HGH.
Yeah, it's if everyone could admit that, if they could be all open about that, I'd respect them more than I already do. I'm not saying I don't have any respect for them.
More
but
actors should, because they have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
there's no suspension in
Yeah.
the the SAG AFTRA. You could take steroids and look great. I believe Edward Norton actually admitted when he had to look ripped for American History X, he took steroids.
He did. Correct. Yeah, they don't have to convince us that they're eating a well-balanced breakfast and going to the gym every day, aka I'm speaking to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like, you don't have to convince us that you're doing there's some help. We see the side-by-side photos of when you were younger and what you look like now. It's okay. It's fine.
Just look at the game plan when he was the quarterback in that movie, and now he's bulked up to a ridiculous size. Yeah, it's obvious.
We got pandemonium right now. I believe the Carolina Hurricanes are based in Charlotte, North Carolina, but they were down 3-0, I want to say, to the Islanders in game 2.
And now they're up 4-3?
They just scored 4 unanswered goals, and they're up 4-3 with about 2 minutes to go in the third period. So
not exactly like what the Sharks did a few years ago against the Golden Knights.
Hell no.
They'll never be topped.
Especially since it's you're gonna hear Jessie yell in the background because she went to that game. She's told me 17 times.
Oh, it's a great game.
Into that game. Yeah, it's one of the greatest games of all time. Except it shouldn't have been a 5-minute major penalty on Pavelski.
There is the controversy with that.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need.
No, we don't. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We'll give you updates of all the NHL and NBA playoffs going on right now. All the home teams winning in the NBA playoffs. The Cavs are up 2-0 on the Magic. Just watched the thrilling end of. I haven't watched a second of that series. Just watched the ending of the Knicks and 76ers. They pull away with that win. The Knicks do. So yeah, it's been, the NBA playoffs have been interesting, but a lot of blowouts. That game was fun. That just happened right then. But all the home teams winning right now. And yes, little backstory here. I am at the KNBR studio. We were supposed to do this podcast yesterday at 10 a.m. and 9:30, right before we go live, I noticed that my apartment's power goes out. And so yeah, couldn't do the podcast yesterday. Got the power back, but my Wi-Fi is not back. So I'm doing it live from the KNBR studio because my apartment sucks. And I'll announce to the world right now, I'm leaving that apartment soon. So within a month, you'll see me at a new location. That's all the sign in the world that I needed to get the fuck out of there. So I'll be going down the street in Oakland at a new place. But yeah, hopefully this is the last time I have to do this. But you know what? Got a nice spacious studio right now. No one to bother me, so I don't mind it too much. I'm at work super late, so whatever.
Yeah, but if these podcast episodes don't last an hour and 50 minutes as a result of that,
yeah. Well, it just means that I'll be on the clock a little bit more, Steven. And yeah, I don't want to be here super late. And I mean,
No.
I'm not divulging anything. I edit this thing and post it too, so I'll be here for quite some time tonight. Granted that my Wi-Fi is not back up.
Jokes aside, glad you're moving out because
Thank you.
You didn't like that spot.
Hey, you know what? I'll be happy to have a kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Shared.
another thing. I did not have a kitchen in my current living space. It was a shared kitchen, which
I wouldn't
was
have been able to take
fun.
that.
Oh, it's
Well,
annoying. That's why I use the air fryer. Air fryer for all my meals.
right. Yeah.
Steak, chicken, cereal. It's great.
Air fryer cereal.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You put it on what do you put it on air fry mode? Do you put it on roast? Do you put it on broil? What do you do with the air fryer?
I do actually use the air fryer for a good deal of stuff. My friends laughed at me when I told them I make a good steak in there. It's not the best steak you'll have in the world, but hey, it's a steak. Yeah.
Just basting it using your air fryer. Hell yeah. Tilting
It's better
the
than
little thing.
it's yeah, it's well, I mean, no, I just, I season it, put it in there, 10 minutes, it's good to go. Maybe less than 10 minutes. I'm looking forward to the next place I go to has actually a grill on the top deck, so I'm looking to use that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Come over, Steven, we'll smoke some meats.
Nah.
All right. How was your 420, sir? I know you spent some of the weekend at Oracle Park to watch the Giants. So did you get high and watch the Giants?
No.
Huh.
No, that was on Friday and Sunday.
It would have made Friday night's game a lot more easier.
Yeah.
Blake Snell, good lord.
Yeah, he hasn't been good, but look, man, this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't get any starts in spring training. You don't get any time to warm up at all. And you think just because you're the NL Cy Young Award winner that you can go out there and just be that reigning Cy Young Award winner. But you know what? He's not so far. And I still have faith in Blake Snell. It's not like I'm not going to call out the organization for that contract or whatever. I'm more going to call out just the overall situation and how they made him wait just to get this 1 year with a 1 year opt out, $62 million or whatever it is. I think Snell will come around eventually, but it'll take a lot longer than just 20 something games into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I watched much this weekend, more NBA playoffs, but I guess a lot of Giants fans didn't have to watch because the game was on Apple TV, so you didn't have to go through that whole terrible process of that game. But yesterday, God, was it obvious in the ballpark that it was a bad call yesterday to end the game, or not end the game, but
well, I mean, even when we
foul
were
pitch, the foul tip.
We were sitting in the second row on the third base side, and they had every case. But at the same time, like, this is what baseball's about. There's a human element to it, and it's kind of why I don't want robot umps, because you never know which way it's going to go. Unfortunately, the Giants landed on the wrong side of that one, just like the Yankees landed on the wrong side of one this morning.
Holy shit, that was bad though. I mean, like, I understand, things happen sometimes, but that umpire, to blame Aaron Boone for something that a fan did. A fan was streaming in the stands and he blamed Aaron Boone. It was hilarious. Aaron Boone was just like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't fucking me." And then the umpire's like, "I don't care." And he's just like, "No, you should care. That's an egregious mistake. Like, he should. Do you get fined when you're tossed?
I think you should get fined, or I don't know about Aaron Boone, but I think that umpire should get handed down some form of a penalty.
A 1-game suspension, because you can't just eject, managers willy-nilly like that. That's bullshit.
No, not when it's clear that you have an agenda, and his agenda was that I'm going to show Aaron Boone who's boss. Like, his reputation precedes him. And Jesse brought up the comparison earlier with Draymond Green. It had everything to do with his reputation, but the whole sequence was just hilarious, especially on that replay that was picked up. Yeah. The replay that was picked up by the Yes Network. It's like he obviously said something at first, got over it quickly. He's just like, all right, moving on to the next thing. And then he's just thinking to himself, I got this weird itch on my hand. Did you see that? He was like staring at his hand for a split second. as the fan in the background yelled something. So he was like staring at his hand as he got ejected. It's like,
No, I didn't.
huh,
I
this is a
didn't.
weird,
I didn't
this is a weird
Zapruder the
growth.
whole thing.
This is a weird growth I have on my hand. I wonder what that is. What?
Yeah.
You know? And then did you see the fan changed his shirt?
No, I did not see that.
He was wearing a bright blue pullover quarter zip, kind of looking like one of the Manning brothers on the Manning cast. And he stuck out like a sore thumb. But as soon as that call happened, he took off that quarter zip and was just in nothing but a plain white tee. So no one could single him out.
So he went full Bobby Valentine, just tried to disguise himself so he wouldn't get thrown out of the game.
Yeah, it was a little. You know what? Equal. The disguises were equally impressive.
Okay.
Couldn't tell that was Bobby Valentine behind that mustache. Same, I couldn't tell that was that guy just in a different T-shirt.
All right. Well, yeah, weird ejections going on in baseball the last few days. Even a walk-off home run that was called back for fan interference. Actually, it was fan interference against the Mariners and Rockies yesterday. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of agree with the call. It was fan interference. The fan got too close.
Yep.
All right. So not too crazy with that one, but yeah, a lot of weird shit going on the last couple of days. We will get to football. The draft is a mere 4 days away, and a lot of stuff going on with Jayden Daniels, Brandon Aiyuk. John Lynch spoke today, and Steven, hide your erection. I'm going to get really in detail about the offensive lineman in this draft. Hide it, I said.
Yep. Trying as hard as I can. Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day.
All right. Cold showers.
Now I will get into the offensive lineman. I won't break it down intently, but you'll get a gist of what I'm talking about. And this is a good offensive line draft, Steven.
I can't think of anything more boring.
It won't be boring. I'll make it fun. I promise you.
Oh, okay. Can't wait to hear about the.
I don't know if you get aroused, but you'll have a good time listening.
The hands. Yeah, actually, Tacky's right. If the power happens to go out at KMBR around the time you're in the middle of that, I won't be mad.
Well, shit, then no one will hear this Giants game, so you'll be angering more people than just the fine opiners.
Well, yeah, but if I could save myself a little offensive line draft talk, then I'm good with.
You'll hear it and like it. You'll hear it and like it.
All right.
So, but really quick, NBA playoffs. Yeah, most of the games have been blowouts. But it was fun to watch some basketball, some playoff basketball. We all thought that Joel Embiid was lost for, the playoffs plus next season when he fell down and hurt his knee. But he miraculously came back. I guess the report was that with the surgically repaired knee, just weird things, like feel awkward to him. So him landing like that kind of spooked him, but he came back and played. So thank God he's still going to play in these playoffs. The Bucks persevere without Giannis for now. Damian Lillard going off in the first half, going 35 points in the first half, and then scoring nothing in the second half. But yeah, besides the Thunder and Pelican game, most of the games were blowouts. I've been thinking, Steven, now that the Warriors are out of it, who are the teams that the Warriors fans in the Bay Area should be rooting for and should be rooting against? Who do you think they are?
Rooting for the Thunder and the Timberwolves. In the East, I don't think they really care. I think the Eastern Conference, for the most part, we just saw the Sixers and the Knicks. But the Knicks now have a 2-game lead. Thought that was going to be a competitive series. I don't know. The Sixers can still come back.
Yeah.
But I think, I guess the Knicks would be one of them just because they're kind of underdogs in this Eastern Conference that's full of just playoff mainstays that we've seen over the years. It's like, all right, we got another Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown saga. When is this team going to mess up next? That's kind of what everyone's waiting for with the Celtics. But I don't think Warrior fans would have a problem with either the Thunder or the Timberwolves doing something. Like the Timberwolves series, I don't know. It could be blowouts for the entirety of the series, and it could be just a 4-game sweep. But you know what? Watching Anthony Edwards do his thing, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, definitely. I loved him talking shit to KD. But I'll ask Warriors fans or people in the chat tonight, Are you guys rooting against KD? Because I never understood, I guess, Warrior animosity towards Kevin Durant. I always talk about when he got booed for winning MVP when I went to the watch party at Oracle when they won the second championship and everybody wanted Steph to win MVP. I don't get the hate. I never thought that he had anything towards the Warriors, just him and Draymond, and maybe he had some issues with Steve Kerr, but for the most part, like I love Kevin Durant. I would love to see him win a championship, I guess, on his own team with the Suns, but I know a lot of Warriors fans don't want to see that. I would love to see Damian Lillard once Giannis comes back, and I'm hoping he does. Damian Lillard's a Bay Area guy, grew up in Oakland. I would love to see him win. I don't hate if the Celtics win or the Nuggets win. I like those teams. I'm in agreement with everybody else. I don't want to see the Lakers win. Fuck the Lakers. No part of that. In fact, where they're playing at the moment right now, what's the score of that game? Uh,
24-17.
yeah, Lakers are up by 7, so we'll see if they finally get a win in a playoff game against the Nuggets. But yeah, man, I have no issues with. I was rooting for KD when he was on Brooklyn, and I didn't like that Brooklyn team, but he's just so great to watch, and I kind of want to see him win on his own and not deal with the stupid ass narrative. So I'd be cool with KD winning, and I'd be cool with Dame winning, but I don't think either of those teams are getting to the finals.
Yeah. I think the only two teams that they'd be pissed about, Warriors fans, that is, would be either the Clippers or the Lakers, and that's really it. I don't think they want to see the Celtics win. I don't think anyone hates them, but I don't know. I don't think anyone cares to see them win because Celtics fans in general are right up there among the top most annoying fan bases in all of sports because we know what happens when the Celtics win. Then they're back on top, baby. I don't need that happening this year. I don't. Look, I got to be honest, at least in the first round, I'm more inclined to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like the next rounds are going to be a lot better. Yeah, it's like Stanley Cup playoffs are so much more competitive and there's just a different atmosphere to it. Whereas, I mean, these playoffs, just take Sunday, for example, a lot of it was all injuries. I know the Pelicans made it a game with the Thunder, and the Thunder are very young, and it's interesting to watch them grow. But, you don't have Zion Williamson with the Pelicans. You don't have, as you mentioned, Giannis with the Bucks. You don't have Kawhi with the Clippers, who's, I think, out of that starting five, that trio with Paul George, James Harden, and Ivica Zubac, who went off against the Mavs. I'd think that Kawhi is maybe the most likable for Warrior fans there. I'm not really interested in that. In that team without Kawhi, I don't know. I'd just rather watch the Stanley Cup playoffs with a bunch of superstars all over the place. And it's more fun to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. The games are more competitive. You're not going to have, many, if at all, blowouts where teams are winning by 10 or more. That doesn't happen in hockey. And that was, I think, of all the games on NBA the weekend for the playoffs, I think only 2 games were decided by less than 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's been mostly blowouts. Yeah.
And I'm talking specifically of the opening round because once you start getting into the conference semis and all that, that's when it really becomes competitive. But the opening round, I'm more inclined to watch a little NHL. Roxy Bernstein was on the call for that Hurricanes Islanders game. Actually,
please explain.
Yeah, he called the what did he call them? The Caniacs. Called the Hurricanes the Caniacs.
Good for him, man.
Roxy. All right, Roxy.
Good for him. Will you pulling for everybody in the NHL playoffs?
Anybody really besides the Knights. Don't like the
Knights.
Knights.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
No,
I'm a big Connor McDavid guy, so
yeah,
that's with the Oilers.
I think a lot of people are looking for the Oilers to get a championship with the biggest name in hockey there, and maybe the Rangers. Rangers, didn't they shit stomp a team the other day? They won they had like 7 goals.
Yeah, they got this. Well, it was 7-6, I think, was the final. But they got this kid.
Whoa!
They got this kid, Matt Rempe, 21 years old. He's from Canada, and he's like 6'7". He's just a menace out there, dude. He's a defenseman, and I think he got like ejected 5 times in the first like 11 games of his career or something. He's just looking for blood every time he's out there on the ice. Then he scored a goal, I think, in that first game.
And when is the NHL draft? Well, obviously after the season, right? And
Yeah, it's
the
going to be in the sphere. It's
Sharks
going to be in the Sphere. It's going to be in June 28th, I think.
and how does NHL draft work? Do you get like a lottery pick, or how does that
Yeah, it's a
work?
lot. It's a lottery pick. Yeah.
So do the Sharks have the best chance to get Celebrini's kid?
Yeah. Yep.
See, I know my hockey. Thanks, Walter, chiming in. Derek loves hockey.
Yeah.
Walter, aren't you sick? Huh?
Yeah, well, you know what? If they do get that number one overall pick, and good God, they better. But that's when the rebuild officially starts because they got Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini, or if they do, then they'd get Macklin Celebrini. But then they also got Will Smith, who was
Is going to
leading the
smack
NCAA.
the shit out of people.
Exactly, he led the NCAA in points this year, so they'll be getting jiggy with it with Will Smith. I'm sure he's just I'm sure he's fully over the Will Smith thing just because they already asked him to sing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air during that draft last year, which was super awkward.
Yeah.
It was bizarre, dude. They just like, in West Philadelphia, born and raised?
Yeah. That's
On the
that's
playground?
bound
Is that where you spent most of your days? Oh, well.
that's bound to happen when you have that name.
Oh,
By the way, like I tried to watch some NBA. So I watched all day Saturday. That how I spent my 420, Steven. Had a
oh,
great
sorry.
day where I just smoked and watched basketball, and it was great. A lot of blowouts, but I had a great day. Didn't do anything. Then Sunday, I was planning to do the same thing, but doing the podcast before, and then I lost my internet. So I had to decide: am I going to periodically check in on my YouTube TV on my phone, or am I going to ring up my 5G account by using my, I guess, whatever, my Wi-Fi to watch
Right.
basketball all day? And I don't plan on just killing my phone bill in one day. So I periodically checked. It was a long, stupid day.
Mm. All
Yeah.
right.
That's all I can say. And I'll tell you what else I did. I stupidly, stupidly wasted time watching Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco's nightcap show with Jayden Daniels last night.
Why was it a waste of time?
Because I wanted to see what Jayden Daniels was going to say if they're going to ask him about what happened with the Commanders and their visit. Is he interested in the Raiders? And they didn't get to the interview for quite a while, and they just bullshitted about basketball. And literally, that show is just Shannon Sharp reading a box score of the basketball game that just happened, and then uh, Chad Johnson wearing sunglasses indoors, just saying, "I can't argue with that, Unc."
Yeah, well,
That
what
is
do you expect? I mean, it's fine. That shows that shows good for talking late night escapades with it
yeah,
with
definitely.
former athletes, but I don't
I
know when
mean,
they're actually talking sports.
no, like Shannon Sharp can rip a good yarn when it comes to having sex and passing gas at the same time, but when it comes to getting into the weeds of basketball talk or NFL talk, not my go-to.
Right.
Um, but that's a good transition for us to get into Jayden Daniels. So Jayden Daniels did go on last night with that show, and he said that he loved playing for Antonio Pierce at ASU, and he doesn't think that the Raiders can trade up. He said it'll be difficult for them to do that, but he would love to play for AP. He also mentioned that the Commanders have some good pieces. So that brings us to what went on with the Commanders and Jayden Daniels' visit to them. So everyone is expecting Jayden Daniels to be taken second overall in the draft coming up this Thursday. It's a foregone conclusion. We all expect Caleb Williams to go number one. But, it's not set in stone that Jayden Daniels will be number two for the Commanders. Could happen. But, there's now things where Drake May is kind of getting some good, or just the betting odds are kind of going in his favor. There's also not Drake May, JJ McCarthy, but Drake May's in
Uh,
the mix too. So here's what happened last Friday: Jayden Daniels and a lot of other uh, draft prospects went to Washington to meet with the Commanders, and the report that came out, I guess on Thursday actually it happened. Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee and other, ESPN shows get up and said that his agent, Ron Butler, was not too thrilled about having to do a meeting with not only uh Jayden Daniels, but he would also have to do like other quarterbacks that were present were Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and Michael Penix. So they were not too thrilled about that. Mike Florio had a video saying like, why would the Commanders do this? And Ron Butler, his agent, tweeted out with the emoji of the guy pondering, like, why would they do that? And initially, my reaction to this was, all right, this is a lot of bitching. They're being babies. This is, normal shit. You sometimes have meetings with numerous other prospects. They all come the same day. So Jayden Daniels doesn't get over himself. But then I didn't realize when I was listening to interviews with Tom Pelissero and uh, Albert Breer that it was 22 prospects, 22 guys in one day. You're allowed to interview, I think, 30 guys before the draft. The Commanders, to get it all done in one day, invited 22 prospects. And it was taking place at Topgolf. Okay. And it was treated like speed dating. Like all of the guys came in, got their drinks, had name tags, and then the brass of Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, the new owner, what's his name? Joe Harris, Josh Harris, all went from table to talk with the new prospects. So after hearing that, I was like, okay, I kind of understand why Jayden Daniels is kind of miffed about this, or maybe just his own, or maybe just his agent. Because you read about Caleb Williams meeting with the Bears and they wined and dined him. It was just him. The other guy, the other prospects they met with, not the same deal. They all went to the facility. They took Caleb Williams out to a nice seafood restaurant and never called him again. Now they went to some restaurant and he met with other veterans. Meanwhile, Jayden Daniels is meeting with the Commanders. They're like, "Oh, okay, Jayden, good to talk to you. Okay, next up, who we got? Who is this? Gina, actually, doing a 40-year-old virgin reference, but basically, he was treated like speed dating." And you get what I'm talking about, Steven, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thought it was a solid reference. Basically,
would have been solid if you didn't mention what the reference was right after, and you just would have kept going.
You gave me that look like you didn't know what the hell I was talking about, and usually I rely on you for movie references.
I'm giving you the look as to where you're going with this.
What I'm going with this is I kind of understand the beef that Jayden Daniels and his agent have, where this is kind of looked at as kind of a Mickey Mouse operation where they squeeze in 30 guys in one day. I kind of understand.
Right. I totally get that. Hey, Jayden, take an iron. All right. You could hit as many shots as you want. All the golf balls, that's on us. Enjoy. Hey, play the little Angry Birds game they got on here. The Angry Birds one's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like does Top Golf seem to you like kind of like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like Top Golf is fun. Top Golf is fun. But when it comes to like an NFL meeting, like shit, are we doing this at Dave & Buster's? Like what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, to hold a draft visit. Where the hell's Connor Smith at, huh? I
saw Connor Smith at Vegas.
That's super inside baseball. Connor Smith used to be the digital guy at 95.7, then went on to do just some amazing things with Top Golf, still doing amazing things with Top Golf.
He says hi. He says he watches the show from time to time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so sick. Yeah, dude, that's not a place to hold a draft visit. That's where you go for a team bonding session.
Yeah.
You know? That's where the Giants Talk podcast goes to interview Logan Webb. You know? This is not an establishment to hold draft interviews. What are you just going to say? Hey, what do you think about our offense? What type of scheme do you like running? Huh? What do you like going under center? Do you like being in the shotgun? What do you like doing? Okay, you like that? All right, cool. Well, get yourself some chicken wings and get yourself some tater tots. They're really good here. We're going to move on to this next guy. Yeah, that would have me miffed, but I don't think that I don't think this did anything Did Langford flip us off while lifting his mic? Maybe by accident. Maybe by accident. I
You're
apologize.
entitled.
I'm not
You're
like
entitled.
I'm not like I'm not like Paul McCartney, where he secretly flips off the interviewer whenever he gets a question he doesn't like. Look up the video; it's an amazing compilation.
Or Adam
Um,
Copeland to me live on the stream.
yes, yes, that too. But I don't think this does anything as far as his standing in the draft. I like that the Commanders are doing something new, something different, because they're trying to just separate everything they possibly can from that era of Dan Snyder, but to do it at Topgolf. Like, who do you think came up with that idea? What was that meeting like? Fellas, fellas, they all gather around at a table. They're in a meeting room. Fellas, what do you think we do? We got the third pick. Bunch of these guys want to come over to, or the second pick rather.
Second pick.
Bunch of these guys, they want to come to our team. Where's the best place to go? Maybe did they decide to do this on 420? Was it 420 when they did this?
It was 2 days before, but it does seem like a half baked idea.
Yeah, yeah. The guy who got promoted from intern to production assistant. I got an idea, bro. Why don't we take them? I did this the other day with my fam. It was sick. Let's go to Topgolf, and then we'll all meet them at the same time, and you hand them off one after the other. Josh Harris is like, I like it. Thinking outside the box.
Yeah. I mean, I could imagine that. Like, it's just like they're trying to do something different than what Daniel Snyder did back in the day, and like, hey, let's make this fun. Let's bring everybody out. We'll get drinks. We'll wine and dine them, and yeah, we'll go from guy to guy. We fit 22 meetings in one day. Here's the thing: when this was talked about on the interviews that I listened to with Tom Pelissero and Albert Breer, it is a idea that Adam Peters came up with when he was with the 49ers. Apparently, the 49ers do this type of thing. Now, I guess it works for their organization, but to me, this sounds kind of stupid.
Wow.
And also, it kind of makes the Commanders look bad. Like they aren't looked at highly right now as one of the best organizations in football. That's mainly because of Daniel Snyder, but they have to change that image. And I don't think this helps. They already have a bad reputation because I don't know if we got into this at all, but you know, a big reason why Ben Johnson didn't go to the Commanders was because he viewed Josh Harris as not really a NFL guy. He's more of an NBA guy. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm sure he looked at Bob Myers being in that interview, being like, what are we doing here? We're having a former basketball GM interview me about if I should be a head coach. This is ridiculous. So I think that the Commanders are kind of looked at like not as a high level, like a high level organization, not the best run right now, but still figuring things out. They're trying to get away from all the bullshit of the past. This just isn't a good look. And now this leads to speculation because Jayden Daniels' relationship with Antonio Pierce that maybe the Commanders will pass on him now that his agent has caused a stink, and this will, you know, force the Raiders to come up to 3 to get Jayden Daniels if the Commanders do pass on him. I'm not sure if all that's going to happen, but it does make you think that maybe, like I heard also Jeremy Fowler say this, that they may issue a statement that Jayden Daniels may come out and say that he doesn't want to play for the Commanders. He's got, you know, running out of time here. We'll see if that happens. But he didn't say anything like that on the nightcap show last night. So maybe they still intend on him going second overall. Maybe he still wants to play for that team. But it is interesting this late in the game that his agent is, you know, voicing his displeasure with how this was run.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you had to pick though, out of all the teams that will be drafting a quarterback, I mean, the Bears got a pretty good situation over there right now. But as far as just wide receiver cores, I think, man, I guess the Vikings are looking for something. The Vikings have Justin Jefferson, but
yeah,
if you're talking about these quarterback needy teams, I mean, it might be the Commanders then the Raiders, who have the most appealing wide receivers to play with, right?
Who do the Commanders have right now currently? They have
You got
Terry
scary
McLaurin,
Terry.
Dynami Brown, Dynami Brown, I want to say, off the top of
Mhm.
my head. Anybody else that I'm? Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson, that's the other one.
All right, that's not bad. And then the Raiders have Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
All right, Commanders have a better receiving core. I'll say that. But
Yeah.
I mean, and
Hmm.
you can't tell me that they didn't hire Cliff Kingsbury specifically for this quarterback. Like, it'd be hilarious if Jayden Daniels weasels his way out of going to the Commanders, then goes to the Raiders, and then Cliff Kingsbury's like, well, shit, now I want to go to that team now. But I still think at the end of the day, the Commanders will end up drafting Jayden Daniels. I think it's too difficult for the Raiders to trade up. This is the proposed trade that Field Yates came up with on NFL Live. The Raiders give the Commanders 13th overall, their 2024 second round pick, and two first round picks in 2025 and 2026. You think that's worth it?
Oh, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That is a lot. If you could sacrifice one of those first round picks and maybe put Hunter Renfrow in that trade, I'd be up for that. But God, it feels like 2 first round picks after 2025. That feels like it's a bit much.
Well, you know Hunter Renfrow's not on the team anymore.
What?
On the Raiders.
The hell happened?
He got released. We talked about this.
Oh, that's right. He got released. Wow. Good Lord.
He's looking for a job right now. We were talking about him going to the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I think it's way. Steven laughs maniacally at himself. All right, easy there. Easy there. I think it's way too much, and I don't think the Commanders want to do that. I think they still want to stay at second overall. Even if they don't take Jayden Daniels, they want to trade down at 13 and not get the quarterback they want. So I don't think this is enough to have the Commanders not draft Jayden Daniels. I think at the end of the day, they still will draft him. And now it just begs the question what the Raiders are going to do at 13, or if they do move up. I think the Raiders won't move up to number 3 because it sounds pretty clear that the Patriots don't want to draft in number 3. They want to trade down and get multiple pieces. They're not enamored with Drake May. So whoever the Vikings are, so it sounds like that may happen. I still think they're not going to change things at the last second. They got Cliff Kingsbury to run the similar offense that he had with the Cardinals, and Jayden Daniels could do that because he looks like Kyler Murray to me, just bigger. And I'm not sold 100% on Jayden Daniels being a great player. I think that he's got the skill set to do that. I think he's got great, he's got great potential to be a great quarterback, but I don't think it's a sure thing. So I don't love the idea of trading up to get him. And now you just got to decide, if you're the Raiders, and most likely Drake May goes 3rd, are you willing to stay at 13 to draft Michael Penix? That's, of all the teams that are linked to Michael Penix, that's the Raiders are the team I hear the most.
Yeah.
So are you willing to stay at 13?
Aren't the Patriots open for business though with the 3rd pick?
Yeah, no, I just said that. They want to trade down.
Yeah. Okay. So why wouldn't the Raiders be able to trade up to 3 for that?
Because I feel like they only want to trade up if they get Jayden Daniels. And I think Jayden Daniels is going 2nd overall to the Commanders.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, I don't know where the hell Penix is going to go. It seems like Penix is the one guy that everyone's been choosing to go to the Raiders. No one else. There's been a couple of Jayden Daniels bold picks, but I also don't know if it's a sure thing that they can just wait at 13. Tom Telesco is going to have to work the phones. A lot of this is going to be happening on draft day. God, Tom Telesco is going to be busy. Like, he's going to be making calls like Brad Pitt. Who's his Jonah Hill going to be? Like, he's just going to be sitting. Not you. I know you work for KBR, but not you.
No, his Jonah Hill is going to be Champ Kelly because he's still assistant GM.
Right. So I don't know what it's going to look like. If Michael Penix drops to 13, great. But I'm at the point right now with the Raiders where as long as it's not Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy, I'm good. Just take a chance on a quarterback in the first round. That's where I'm at. If it fails, then it fails. Fine. But I'm just going to be, I'm not going to be inspired at all by this team if they just draft a tackle 13th, which I'm fine with. It's okay, but what, we're just gonna do that and then wait for Spencer Rattler later in the rounds? Like I don't. I'm not sure where they're gonna go, but I would rather they take their chances on one of these first round quarterbacks.
I don't think that they will wait for Spencer Rattler. I think that if they do decide to not draft Michael Penix with the original pick that they have at 13, whether they move up or move down, I don't think that they'll wait long after that to draft a quarterback. And I don't think they're interested in Bo Nix. I don't think they're interested in JJ McCarthy. I think that the two guys that they really want are Jayden Daniels if he's available, which it doesn't sound like he is, or Michael Penix. And the only reason I think they would pass at him at 13 is if they are very confident that he will still be there by the second round. I think there's a scenario where the Raiders could wait and draft a right tackle at 13. That's why I'm getting into these tackles, Steven. It's for your benefit to know who these guys are when the Raiders take them. And then potentially trade early on in the second round to take Penix. Or they feel the urgency because the NFL is a quarterback needy league and they take Penix at 13 or move up to do so. So Ernie2 asks in the chat here, do you guys think any top five teams will trade back? Yes. I think the Patriots are looking to do that. I think the Cardinals will wait until they're on the clock. If you've seen the video of the Cardinals war room from a year ago, Monty Essenfort dealing like Brad Pitt, where he's calling guys right at the second and watching the time tick down and making the moves, he'll probably look to do that. But I think the Cardinals really want Marvin Harrison Jr., so I think they may just stay. Let me ask you, Steven. I think the Chargers really don't want to draft at 5, and they probably should. They probably should take maybe Joe Alt if he's there, if they really want a right tackle. But Joe Alt's more of a left tackle. That's a tease.
They're going to take Blake Corum.
At 5, good Lord. But Harbaugh's crazy. I heard some rumor, too, like, this is why I can't pay attention to all this bullshit. Fucking Antonio Brown's CTE, or what is it? CTESPN account, where he's suggesting, or whoever works on his staff is suggesting that the Vikings are going to trade for Justin Herbert and they're going to draft JJ McCarthy at 5. Jim Harbaugh didn't fucking take that job to trade away Justin Herbert. Okay, so I'm not even paying attention to that shit. But yeah,
you are. You did.
Well, no, I guess I am. Yeah, so stupid of me. Okay, but the Chargers should probably take Malik Neighbors at 5 because he fits what they need exactly. But there's a lot of wide receivers, so I can see them trading down, try to get a right tackle, and then get a wide receiver maybe in the later rounds of the first round or the second round. Is there a scenario that you'd be comfortable with? Tom Telesco does know the Chargers. Would you be okay with the Raiders trading with the Chargers to get up to 5?
Yeah, sure. Depending on what it would take, but yeah. Why would I have a problem with that?
You're giving them capital, and it's a division rival.
Yeah. Division rival, Smajivan rival. The Chiefs are the top team in the AFC West. Anything, I'm good with any team just taking down the Chiefs at this point. So no, I wouldn't care, but I wouldn't do the Field Yates mock trade. I got to be honest. I just need the draft to come around now. I'm at that stage where I'm done with all this analysis. I'm done with all these predictions. I'm done with Robert Griffin III giving me a Dragon Ball Z comparison for every single quarterback. I am done with all of it. I just want the players to get drafted. I want to know where they'll be. Then we can look forward to the season. And when the season rolls around, then I'll get into the stage where I'm like, all right, I'm done with training camp. Now I need to see some preseason games. All right, I'm done with the first 2 weeks of preseason. Now I'm ready for the regular season. It's just a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. And all this week leading up to it, it's like, it's draft week. Yeah, it's 4 days away. And we've been doing 2 months of nonstop evaluating the draft. Can't stand it.
I'm kind of with you, Steven. I want to know. I just want to get to that Thursday already and see the draft picks happen. I would love to see some trades leading up to the draft. We got Zach Wilson today, which is ironic because a year ago at this time, Aaron Rodgers, the Monday before the draft, was traded to the Jets, and now his backup is betrayed to the Broncos. Which, okay, I I don't see anything happening with that. I don't see how Zach Wilson helps the Broncos at all. He'll Their quarterback room right now is Jared Stidham, Zach Wilson. I don't even know who the third guy is. Surprised they haven't signed Ryan Tannehill at this point. I don't expect the Broncos actually to draft a quarterback. I think they intentionally want to be bad this year so they can get whoever is going to be the number one pick next season. If it's Shalik Sanders or sorry Shador, because he goes to school in Colorado, so it would be good for the Broncos, I guess.
Shador.
Yeah, I'm not even
Shador.
100% sure if he'll be the number one overall pick. We'll see about that still.
Shador.
Yeah, you love that from Khaled.
It's DJ Khaled, man. Shador. I'm actually looking up the Broncos quarterback room right now.
There's
Trying to
one
find
guy
some
I'm
good ones.
forgetting.
That's gonna bother me for this.
There's Jarrett
I'll
Stidham,
find it.
Zach Wilson, and one guy that's not good.
Oh, Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci, fellow
Wow.
Paisano. He could be the Tommy
Cowboys
DeVito.
legend.
He could be the Tommy DeVito of Sean Payton's quarterback room.
Of Denver?
Yeah, why not?
Well, the Tommy DeVito thing made sense because he was in New Jersey.
Yeah, I wonder if Tommy DeVito is actually going to remain on the Giants this year. By the way, I'm not buying the Giants' interest in a quarterback in the first round. Not yet. There's a lot of smoke there. Like, they just signed Daniel Jones. You really want to, like, I know he's not great, but we really want to just draft another quarterback right now at 6? I'm not buying that.
I wouldn't put it past Brian Dable to want to do that.
He probably wants to save his job because he's probably on the line this year with his former mentor, Belichick, looking for jobs, and he loves the Giants. But, God, they already have Drew Lock. Tommy DeVito still on the team?
I think so. Yeah.
That's a crowded quarterback room. And they can't get rid of Daniel Jones because he's got the torn ACL. So I don't see that. I don't think that's a great move, but it could happen. Who knows?
Yeah, I sorry, I was just like looking at their quarterback room too and making sure that Tommy DeVito was there. Yeah, he's the third stringer. The Giants might be another one of those. I mean, Rock and Ernie just asked, or Ernie 2 rather, asked us to top 5.
I like that, Rock and Ernie.
Yeah, the top 5 picks, whether they trade down. Well, at the 6th, I want to put it past the Giants to do that too and just pick up some capital.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm
Maybe.
not entirely sold on that yet. And I'll say this too. While I was not wanting to listen to Jayden Daniels on the nightcap, I did catch a little bit of Caleb Williams on the pivot. And seems like a nice young man. Seems like he is 110% in on being the face of the franchise with the Chicago Bears. And then they talked about how when he went to Oklahoma, how he wanted to take the job away from Spencer Rattler and how he thought that he earned that job at training camp and that he was pissed that he didn't get that starting job. And then Ryan Clark was like, dude, you went to Oklahoma that had a very notable starting quarterback. He was on that Netflix show. I forget the name of it. At the time, Spencer Rattler was looked at as like potentially being the first overall pick. And you wanted to take you thought you deserved to be given the job over him. And Caleb Williams was like, yeah. And Ryan Clark's like, why did you go to that team then? Why didn't you just go to another school? He's like, because I wanted to go to the best school that was going to help me with Lincoln Riley being the offensive guru that he is in college. And yeah, I'm always going to think I'm better than everybody else. And there is a arrogance to him that I appreciate because he thinks that he's the best, and you should act that way when you're near the quarterback. But there's a lot of hype around him going to a big market team like the Chicago Bears. And I think that he's going to be fine as far as the skill set, but just there's some things that are like kind of rubbing me the wrong way. There's all the stuff with his dad that he was trying to negotiate with teams to give him equity in the team that he gets drafted with. Like, that's not happening. And it's just, whenever you're the big swinging dick on the team that comes in, like, that's going to be a challenge for him. And there's all this stuff already about how he didn't want to meet with any other teams besides the Bears, didn't want to give his medicals to any other team. If he wins, it won't matter. But if they lose, then I don't know how swimmingly this is going to go. So I would, when Matt Colsey was on with us and he was freaking out about Justin Fields, I would tell him, calm down. I don't think Justin Fields is the answer. I think he's a fine quarterback, but he's not the quarterback. Caleb Williams fits that part. But I do worry about his ego becoming a problem in the NFL. I do worry about that.
Why?
Because I just think that you don't.
I'm not concerned with Caleb Williams one bit. If his ego gets in the way, then fine. But I think a quarterback needs that, though. I don't, because I saw it with Derek Carr over 9 seasons with the Raiders. I saw one of the most humble, respectful, just easygoing quarterbacks I've seen in a long time, right? And I think I learned over that decade, because look, straight up, being a Raider fan, growing up a Raider fan, I haven't really seen many confident quarterbacks that have command of everything. Rich Gannon was before I became, cognizant of what quarterbacks actually did. Like, Rich Gannon was just a name. It was Rich Gannon to me when I was growing up.
Oh, he was arrogant. He was taking pool balls out of the fun room.
Exactly. So if he's arrogant like that, then so be it. And if he doesn't perform on the field, then fine. But I'm just, I don't know. I'm far from worrying about that with Caleb Williams right now. The ownership stake was weird. Tacky's right. Yeah. Caleb Williams was the only one who reportedly wanted ownership stake in the team who drafted him. Yep, that is correct. And that is some straight David Beckham, Lionel Messi. Hey, we're going to come to the Galaxy. Just make sure you give us ownership stake in the new expansion team. Yeah, that's a little much, because he hasn't done as much as one of the greats in David Beckham and the greatest of all time in Lionel Messi. Yeah, that was a little much. That did get me rub me the wrong way. But then I thought, do I really care? Not really. I mean, so what? This guy has a little bit of a personality to him. And it seems like he is doing a lot of talking before the draft, but if he doesn't pan out, fine. I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm not going to look at that being his downfall. The reason he won't pan out in the NFL is because he just couldn't get up to speed against NFL defenses, and maybe got into the wrong system with the Bears to start off his career. I don't think his ego is going to be the thing that, that drives him to being a number 1 overall bust.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to think that way already, but there's just some things that I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit of Jeff George.
You don't like him. It's fine. You don't like him.
No. I do like him as a prospect. I really do, because I do like the way he plays. But yeah, he's arrogant. He's got an ego. But like you said, Steven, maybe you need that to be a great NFL quarterback. There's just so much hype around him that I wouldn't be surprised if he just talks too much in the media, if he throws his team under the bus, if he throws Eberflus under the bus. I just wouldn't be surprised by those things.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Fields did that last year.
Yeah.
Justin
Fields he wasn't even as good as what we expect Caleb Williams to be.
Hang on a second. AJ Cruz saying Beckham's overrated. Clap, 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 clap. Oh, AJ. Overrated.
He just went down a couple notches in your book, huh?
Overrated, AJ. There a way to ban listeners?
I mean, we can.
We could agree.
He's just having an opinion, man.
We could agree to disagree on that one, AJ. All right. We'll agree to disagree.
I've talked to AJ Cruz a couple times when he's called into KMBR. He seems like he's trying to get your goat.
Yeah.
Which is the way that word should be used, by the way, instead of the stupid goat that we all use.
It's become part of our lexicon now, Derek. It's
maybe
just
your lexicon.
Yeah. But another thing with him too is I don't know. I'm looking at like a rookie like Victor Wembanyama, who really seems like he's got his head on straight. It looks like he truly is just a pure basketball fanatic. That's what it seems like.
Okay, but
And
let me ask you this real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Do you
yeah,
think his head is on straight and he's humble because he's not from America?
maybe, maybe. Well, because we're obsessed over here with winners and losers and being more macho. Like, look at it. It's just it's a weird American thing that we all have. It's this weird crutch. That's why a lot of people are insecure about their own selves. It's because we have this idea that you need to be the best at everything, and there's only one winner and one loser, and it's a whole thing. Um, and okay, I'm not saying Beckham's better than Messi. All right, just saying calling Beckham overrated. That as you said, Derek, he gets my goat. But uh does Caleb Williams love football to the point where he is going to go above and beyond? Because he's got this golden opportunity here where you can take all the fanfare that comes with being a number one overall pick. You can, you know, you can avoid a picture from Britney Spears and then somehow get in trouble for it. But still, your mind is focused on football. Shout out to Wembanyama. How about that? How long has it been since that happened? God.
Yeah, this is like a
Um,
lifetime ago.
um. So if he can somehow get over all of that and remember that it's purely about football, like that's what made Tom Brady the greatest. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady had his fun, but that was after he started winning Super Bowls. Don't act like you've won Super Bowls already when it's the first year in the NFL. So maybe his attitude can get in the way of that, but as long as that attitude doesn't get in the way of preparation, then he'll be just fine. But I, from everything that we've heard, um, they just sit down and watch film all day,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean, I think that he'll be a good pro. I just maybe it's just these are things that we never seen before. Like he is betting on himself, not like Otani or Jonte Porter, but um, maybe we're not like I don't feel this way about Marvin Harrison Jr. when I probably should. He's not. He's doing the same thing where he's like, I'm not working out for anybody before the draft. It's not like a nepo baby thing or anything like that. He's just like I know who I am, and I performed already at a high level at Ohio State. I'm the best wide receiver in this class. I don't need to perform for everybody else.
Right.
And Caleb Williams kind of has the same. He did a pro day and he did well, but he doesn't need to give his medicals out to everybody else. He doesn't need to meet with every other team
No.
when he knows he's the first overall pick. So maybe he's just that confident in himself, and maybe this is just something different that I'm not used to, and maybe most football fans are not used to. So if if he's very confident in himself, then good for him, and hopefully he backs it up. I do wonder if it's just so much hype on one guy, and he's used to being kind of coddled when he's in college, and now he's going to Chicago, where it's a big media market, and those fans are hungry for a quarterback, the likes of which they have never seen in his ability. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, let's get to the latest with Brandon Ayuk. So, last Friday, Brandon Ayuk, I guess his brother went to Instagram and posted a picture of them having a phone conversation in which his brother posted, "Brother said we got 6 days and it's fireworks." What do you think that means? Could it be that he's waiting for a deal to get done on the draft? By the way, this was on last Friday, so he means in reference to the draft. Or it could be that he's waiting for a trade. Or it could be that the Ayuk family does not own a calendar and they think that July 4th is coming up soon.
Could be the latter.
Yeah,
Could
I
be the
think so.
latter. Yeah, yeah.
But what do you think when you see that, Steven? Do you think, I mean, like we've already known that his family members have tweeted out or whatever social media account have posted things to basically say that Ayuk wants to leave San Francisco. Um, and that was interesting to me to see that. And there's rumors every day from, the likes of CT, ESPN, or whatever the fuck that's called. Um, what it when you see that, what do you think that is a reference to?
Uh, it has to be something around the trade. I don't even know what's going on with Aiyuk, dude.
Yeah. Now things are getting interesting, and I guess over the weekend, Mike Florio wrote an article for Pro Football Talk saying that while Ayuk did not demand a trade, he believes that the Niners have given Ayuk and his representation permission to go seek deals elsewhere. That if teams are interested in draft compensation and the deal that they would give them for new contract. So that was interesting to me. And then John Lynch spoke today, and John Lynch just nipped it in the butt right when the press conference started, saying like, "I know everyone wants to talk about Ayuk, and I'm going to do the same thing that I said when Debo wanted to trade. Um, we are intending on having Brandon Ayuk remain a 49er, and we have good conversations right now. I don't want to. He said I was a former player myself. I don't want to out any information right now, but our intention is to have Brandon Ayuk be a lifetime 49er. And he said talks are good, and that's the tone that I want to leave things at. And then, of course, a bunch of questions were asked about Brandon Ayuk right after that. Mike Silver was funny and said, so has the communication mainly been through emojis between you and John Lynch? And John Lynch laughed at that. And then I think Tracy Sandler or somebody asked, then Kawakami asked, has he been in the building at all? And he's like, nope, he has not been here the entire offseason since the day that they clean out their locker rooms. And then I think Tracy Sandler asked, um, have teams inquired about Brandon Aiyuk? He said, yeah, we get calls about guys all the time. And then Mayoko says, have you given Aiyuk permission to seek a trade? And before Mayoko could finish the question, John Lynch stops him and said, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the specifics, blah, 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 blah. This is kind of the same tone that John Lynch had right before Trey Lance got traded. I remember him coming on the morning show with Murph and Marcus, and or Marcus was filling in at the time, and they asked him questions about Trey Lance as Trey Lance demanded a trade, and John Lynch just shot it down and said, I'm not getting into that. So, where we stand today, things are getting interesting. I don't feel the same confidence that I had a couple years ago that Steve Samuel was going to remain a 49er. And even then, I thought there was a strong possibility that the Jets were going to trade for him. As we sit here today, the Monday before the draft, it seems to me like trading Brandon Aiyuk is very much on the table.
Yeah, they said they intend to sign him. No, what they said was they wish they could. They wish they could sign him. Why are we looking back at the Debo thing? Why don't we compare this to when Nick Bosa was set to get an extension? Remember how confident he was with that?
Shot that
That's
down immediately.
that
Any trade talk was shot down. Sorry.
he left nothing to the imagination. He just straight up told the media, I'm confident we're going to get a deal done. I am very confident. And what he said a lot of today was John Lynch being great with the media. This is partly why they hired him as a GM, because he can speak from a player's perspective. He knows how to talk to players. I think that'd be number one. And he also has connections around the league too. So he knows people like that's in part, but also part of why they hired him is because that man can talk. Like straight up, I don't know what his foreign policies would be. I don't know what his stance would be on certain things politically, but if I could vote for John Lynch for president, I would. That guy is presidential.
Captain America.
In every sense of the term. It feels to me at this point, and I'm still gonna have the same, because look, what the easy way to look at this is, look, he's under contract for this year. Why would they trade him? They could easily just exercise that option, which they already have, play him one more year, and then they can, like Tacky here saying, I think you run it back one more time. Um, uh, uh, Ernie says, I truly think Aiyuk and Debo will play together one last season and Debo gets traded, which could happen. It could, but I think he wants a little bit more money than Debo.
Oh yeah,
and
he does.
I think the money is a huge factor into this. And by the time Brock Purdy is going to get his deal and you still got to pay Nick Bosa, whatever it's going to be, Fred Warner, George Kittle's probably going to be off the team by then. But I just think that 49er fans have every right to be concerned. And if you're relaxed about it, then fine. But I just think there's something going on. I think there's something going on here that just doesn't feel right. And I agree with everything that the chat is saying. Ayuk's a better wide receiver than Debo, all these sorts of things. But I think what they're saying, you just let Aiyuk play it out for one more year and then you trade Debo Samuel after. Well, how would Debo feel about that? How would Debo feel if it's just, hey, yeah, you're going to let this wide receiver take my job after this year? I think that's what a lot of 49er fans want. And I think that Ernie too, I'm not trying to criticize your take here, but I think you're giving the opinion of what you want to happen instead of what could actually happen. Because what you're saying makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, just let Aiyuk play it out for one more year, then trade Debo. That's what I think is going to happen. Or do you think that's going to happen, or do you want that to happen? Because I think we always get lost in that, and I do that a lot too. I don't think it's as simple as, yeah, they're just going to let Aiyuk play one more year. There's something weird, man. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying it'd be smart. I don't think they should trade away Aiyuk. I've said it already on this pod that like that Aiyuk and Purdy connection, you can't replace that with just some first round wide receiver from this draft. Like that takes time to build that chemistry. And if you're going to sustain Brock Purdy for whatever he has left, I think it's best done with Aiyuk. But I just think something, unless he gets some form of a guarantee that he's going to be making, top 7 wide receiver money, then all right, then you're good. But if you can't promise me that, then I don't know. I might seek another trade elsewhere.
I want to pose a question to everybody in the chat. If you had to trade Brandon Aiyuk or Debo Samuel this week, who are you picking?
Say that again. Ask that again.
If you had to pick between Brandon Aiyuk and Debo Samuel, who are you trading this week? Who can you live without?
I'd trade Debo this week. Yeah,
I agree as well.
Yeah,
I think that Brandon Aiyuk is the better wide receiver. I think he is a more prototypical wide receiver. I think that Debo Samuel is a Swiss Army knife that Christian McCaffrey can do most of the same things. And I think Kyle likes Debo's style. But I think also, let's look back to the Super Bowl. There was a deep pass that Debo Samuel did not come up with. It was a hard ball to catch, and Trent McDuffie had coverage on him. But Debo Samuel was not much of a factor in that Super Bowl. And I think that it's now coming to the time where the 49ers do need big play threats down the field to separate themselves from the Chiefs. I would not be the least bit surprised. Kyle Shanahan went to Texas. I would not be the least bit surprised if Kyle is into either of these wide receivers, Xavier Worthy or Adonai Mitchell. I think they're both interesting. Xavier Worthy is super fast, but like I said last podcast, he is a twig. He is 175 pounds. But are the Niners looking to have more of a deep threat in the vein of a Tyreek Hill on this offense finally?
They do need someone to take the top off the defense, no doubt. And I do wonder, we always talk about the running backs with Shanahan, how he views running backs, how they're basically expendable. I could just take a 6th rounder like Elijah Mitchell. I could take an undrafted free agent like Raheem Mostert, or was Raheem Mostert a 7th rounder? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Don't recall.
They're just like, yeah, we don't need to pay running backs. Like I could just make it work with Matt Breida. I can make it work with these guys. Just get me one in the draft and I'll have them, I'll have them consistently running here in no time. But then you got Christian McCaffrey. So I wonder, since he has Christian McCaffrey now as the bell cow, does he view wide receivers now the same way that he viewed running backs?
Hmm.
Because now, because at the time when they were shuffling through, they had George Kittle, they had Debo, and they had Emmanuel Sanders, right? But they didn't need to extend Emmanuel Sanders; he was gone. So does he view wide receivers that same way, where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to pay top dollar for a wide receiver when we can just get one in the first round, maybe save some money in the future and sustain this thing? Because I could see Shanahan. I know Shanahan doesn't get involved with all the numbers and stuff. That's definitely what he says, right? Yeah, I don't get involved with the contracts and all that stuff. I don't do that and stuff. But I wonder how he views wide receivers, because we haven't really seen it with the Niners with the number one guy. The number one receiver he turned him into a hybrid, and he had Julio Jones in Atlanta. There's no
He
doubt, but
did. Yep.
he also wasn't the one making the decisions then. Like he wasn't
Right.
the head coach. So of course, if you're an offensive coordinator, you want that. But I think I think we're almost in a weird way. It's been like what, 7 years? We're almost entering uncharted territory here, where they got to pay a number one running back, or excuse me, a number one wide receiver who's purely a wide receiver.
Yeah. Today was interesting because Kyle was not there. And Kyle, I do remember famously being at the press conference right before they drafted Trey Lance, and him saying, asking, "Do you guys plan on Jimmy Garoppolo being on the roster by Sunday?" And he said, "I don't know if we're all going to be alive by Sunday." John Lynch, John Lynch was there by himself today, and I don't know if he was there by himself last year, but John Lynch looked uneasy. He looked like he didn't want to deal with any Brandon Aiyuk questions, because I think he knows things are not positive right now. I know people in the chat are like, "No, it was fine. He said he wanted Aiyuk to be a Niner." Go back and listen. This is the most interesting part of the whole press conference. Go back and listen when Mayoko asks him, "Have you given Aiyuk permission to seek a trade?" And he shoots it down immediately. It does not want to answer. That is all I need to know, that has happened. I do believe that. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe, those rumors that came out a couple weeks ago, or just last weekend, from John Frusciella in 49ers 24/7, that Brandon Aiyuk has demanded a trade and his agent shot that down. Brandon Ayuk's agent is very close friends with John Lynch. So I think that he's trying to do his best to not make things ugly. But I'm sure Brandon Aiyuk has voiced to people behind the scenes that he does not want to be with the 49ers anymore. I don't doubt that. And he wants to go to a place where he's going to be compensated appropriately. I do think he wants to be paid probably in the top 5 receiver range. I think he wants to make more money than Debo Samuel had got last, or 2 seasons ago, during training camp of 2022. And
Right.
that may cause some issues with those 2 receivers. So I think that Brandon Ayuk's agent has not formally told the Niners we're seeking a trade, but I'm sure that they have been given permission behind closed doors, and I'm sure the Steelers are very aggressive in trying to get him. They can pay him. They're not paying Russell Wilson a great amount of money. They're not paying Justin Fields a great amount of money. They can pay Brandon Ayuk a shit ton to be one of the top paid receivers in football right now. So I do think that's all on the table. I don't know if it's going to happen. The Niners just may be stubborn and not do anything. And Walter Ichabal Celta of KMBR asked us in the chat, any chance that Debo ends up getting traded? I'm glad you asked that, Walter, because interesting moment today on the show that Walter produces. Opening segment of Papa and Lund. They're talking about this, and my dad says, I don't see Aiyuk getting traded. Debo, on the other hand, we'll see what happens in the next couple of days here. And then John Lund goes, excuse me? And then my dad goes, I don't know. So anything's on the table. Anything is on the table, I think. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think. I'll say this. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk and Debo Samuel will both be playing for the Niners this season. That's what I believe.
Wow. Your dad still signs him through a Comrex, right?
Say what?
He still signs in through a Comrex, right?
That's how he does the show, yeah.
So Walter has to hear it every day. At what time does their show start? Show starts at 10, right? Hello,
Hello.
hello, 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 hello.
Yeah, Walter and Danny, they do woman's work.
Wow. Well, that's crazy to think about. Look, if Debo does end up getting traded, I think that bodes well for him in the long run. If he gets traded and Ayuk's still on the roster after this draft, I think you should be feeling pretty darn good about that. Because
Yeah,
Debo, I don't know what. Even though Ayuk is the the number one pure wide receiver on the team, and it's pretty clear that he has much more of an upside. Has more. Even though this sounds crazy to say, more untapped potential. Um, I do wonder how defenses look at it. I want because we always talk about that. It's like, well, do the defenses have to game plan around them? Do defenses have to think? And in my mind, like, it's already confusing enough to where you got to try to dissect what Kyle Shanahan's going to do, especially with the different personnel that he rolls out there, or rather the same personnel. He just disguises it in different forms of a play. What gives you the flexibility to do that is Debo. So does keeping Aiyuk and having Debo off the team, does that allow Shanahan to do that? Does that allow him to have his offense line up in the same formations but run different plays out of those formations? Actually, that's why I was huge on bringing back Kyle Juszczyk. I'm glad they did, because that guy is in motion so much. He does so much with their offense pre-snap, and I think Debo does the same. Like, what do they what's that going to look like with Debo out? Like, does Shanahan have to maybe sync some more up a little bit? Does he have to kind of work around his system? Because it seems like he's got it pretty much down as long as Debo's there.
I wouldn't be surprised that Kyle values Debo's skill set more than Aiyuk. Let's not
Yeah.
forget that Aiyuk was in the doghouse his second season. And that could come into play right now of why he may not want to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Kyle likes to run the football, so I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibilities that he values Debo's skill set more than Aiyuk. He also could look in this draft and say we can find someone that's similar to Aiyuk. Hell, we can find maybe multiple wide receivers in this draft. Maybe we just need to improve our receiving core altogether. I will say this: Brandon Aiyuk is Brock Purdy's favorite go-to target as far as like on the receive. Like, he'll check it down to McCaffrey or Kittle, but Ayuk's more of a true wide receiver. So I would trade Debo. That's what I would do. And if you need to do it this offseason, I would do it now. I would trade him to Baltimore or whoever wants him. But yeah, I think Aiyuk is looking to blow whatever Debo made out of the water.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure. But yeah, these are all just questions that we're posing here. Like, this is why,
I
like,
know.
I'm not saying this is 100%, but these are all the factors that have got to be taken into account, because I think that if you asked like a majority of 49er fans, which we have on this podcast, if you ask a majority of them, like, what do you think they should do? I think they'd say exactly what you just said. Yeah, I'd rather keep Ayuk and then trade Debo, but is that what Kyle Shanahan wants to do? Is that what Ayuk wants to do? Can they promise him that money? They're always talking about how they're thinking not just next year, but 3-4 years down the line. They're like, hey, we can give you this much, but we'd have to backload the contract, so we wouldn't be able to give you as much up front. We could give you a signing bonus, but you won't make much in terms of base salary. There's a lot that goes into it, man. A lot that goes into it. By the way, the guys are putting it into the chat right now. Got it up on the TV.
Yeah.
Lakers are crushing the Nuggets right now.
Yeah. Yep. No, that was. I mean, everybody keeps saying if D'Angelo Russell plays well, the Lakers will improve, and he's playing well right now, 18 points. So we'll see if the Nuggets come back. They usually kind of sleepwalk a little bit to start a game and then come back, but maybe the series tied up 1-1. We'll see what happens.
AD got 30 points already.
Shit already?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's playing. Wow, he's playing out of his mind. Yep. We will. We'll give you an update if this game goes final before we're off. Before we're off the air, but we plan on ending before then. Well, don't worry, Steven. You all right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be in bed before that game's over.
Okay. Well then, before I put you to sleep, Steven.
Oh
I know
God.
I know you're gonna be intently listening to this. My offensive line evaluations.
All right.
This is where Steven's going to talk to the chat while I talk. Listen, I'm not going to act like I'm some offensive line guru here. I'm just going to give you details on these players, what true positions they play, and how to pronounce their names. Huh? I like that, Steven, so you're not sounding like an idiot when you do your updates.
You're like the third Schwartz brother.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
believe me, I'm not going to be doing any reports on offensive linemen. But
Well,
yes.
Steven, you might be if the Niners or Raiders take a lineman in the first round. That's very
Alrighty.
much on the table. All right. So let's go this through really quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these guys because, yes, Steven, it is offensive line play. So I'm not going to bore you and everybody else. But just to tell you the top guys in the draft as far as the first round, just Joe Alt. I think everybody knows him by now. Notre Dame, true left tackle, top prospect. The biggest knock on him, and I kind of watched it a little bit, is he lacks explosiveness. He's really good in pass protection, run blocking. He could probably improve a little bit more. He just doesn't explode off the line of scrimmage. I think that's the biggest knock on him at the moment. But he probably will be the first offensive lineman taken. Then from Oregon State, true right tackle Talisi Fuaga. Huh? You like that? Talisi Fuaga, best right tackle in the draft. Same thing as Joe Alt. He's just as good as he is. Well, Joe Alt's a great left tackle, but Talisi Fuaga's just as good on the right side. But he doesn't have the best footwork. That's the thing he's got to improve on. And that's probably the most common theme with all these guys, that they just got to improve their technique. Then for Washington State, there is Troy Fatah. His name is Troy. Troy Fatah. Sorry. Hold on. I write this right. All right. Troy Fatanu. I can hear Jesse laugh at me in the background. I'm telling everybody how to pronounce these names, Steven. You don't want to sound like an idiot. Troy Fatanu. That's him from Washington State. He played both left tackle and left guard. But he needs to be more aggressive with his hands. One more time, Steven. Troy Fatanu. That's his name. I nailed it. Moving on to the next guy. For Penn State. All right, here we go. Olu Fashanu. No, I nailed it. Don't laugh at me. You can laugh at me all you want. Your Milo Wallace shirt, Steven, but I'm saying it right. Olu Fashanu, the Penn State left tackle. That's him. Olu Fashanu.
No, you're doing great. Keep going.
No,
you're doing great. Yeah.
He's got the best build in the draft, Steven. He looks the part. You know, big ass, the whole thing. He just doesn't show his athleticism enough. But that ass is amazing. Olu Fashanu. Then there's J.C. Latham, right tackle from Alabama. He's better in run blocking than he is in pass protection. But he's a big boy. Not as big of an ass as Olu Fashanu, though. And then you got Oklahoma's right tackle, Tyler Guyton. Limited plays. What I write here? I can't read my own damn handwriting. Lack of technique. He's got to improve that. Same thing with Georgia. There's Amarius Mims. He's a right tackle as well. Only started 5 games last season. Then there's the left tackle from BYU, Kingsley Sua Mataia. Sua Mataia. I wrote these phonetically. Left tackle. He needs to improve his technique as well. And then there's guys with good old names that we all could pronounce. Jackson Powers Johnson, best center in the draft, and Graham Barden, who's also a center. He's got shorter arms. Just got to improve on that. So there you go. Those are all the offensive line prospects that could go in the first round this year.
Really good.
So look for those names, and because the Raiders and Niners, the Raiders and Niners could be in on those guys. And I think I did a good job with nailing those pronunciations.
I think you did. Jackson Powers Johnson's an interesting one to keep an eye on for the 49ers. That could be one right there.
They need a center?
I guess not.
Yeah.
Hey, he could be on the interior, though.
The Eagles could look to get him, though, with Jason Kelce being gone. But I think the name that's thrown out there a lot is the right tackle for Washington Huskies. He won't be a first-round pick. What's his name? Someone in the chat probably has it. I'll look it up when I have a moment.
Roger Rosengarten?
That's it. His name has been thrown out a lot with the Niners, so you could see him in later rounds. But yeah, could see if the Raiders are interested. I mean, the biggest thing is they got Colton Miller, but they could look for a right tackle. So there's Talisi Fuaga, J.C. Latham, and Tyler Guyton and Amarius Mims. A lot to choose from the right tackle position.
Right.
So there you go. Those are my offensive line evaluations. Painless, Steven. Painless.
Oh, yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that cracked me up, dude.
I know.
You literally said you were going to be bringing them on for name pronunciations, and you couldn't pronounce a majority of their names. It was great.
Dude, I nailed it. What are you talking about? Talisi Fuaga.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, you got that one. Yeah.
It was mainly my own handwriting. It took me a while to actually read out what I was writing, which is sad in its own right.
Yes. You do scribble down notes like you have 3 fingers on your right hand.
All right, Steven. Yeah, we want to do Jackass of the Week, or should we say that for next podcast?
I think we already got our Jackass of the Week, dude, and it's that umpire from today's A's Yankees game. I think there's no doubt about it. I don't know how there could be anyone else. Chuck, whatever his name is.
Chuck. Oh yeah, the guy from today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if his name was Chuck. All right, I'll do mine real quick. I think everyone's seen the clip by now. Caitlin Clark introduced Indiana Fever, and the Indianapolis reporter Greg Doyle just being super awkward as fuck, basically suggesting that if she does the heart sign to him all the time, then they'll get along just fine, just sounding super creepy. Apparently this guy is just not, I mean, he's, I guess, a fine writer, but just weird. So the whole interaction was Caitlin, he goes, "Hey, Caitlin," he does the heart emoji or heart sign to her. And she goes, "Yeah, that's what I do every time, every game to my family." He's like, "Yeah, if you do that to me, we'll work together just fine." And it was cringy and it was weird. And he apologized and wrote like, "Oh, I'm so clumsy." It's not being clumsy. It's just like, no woman reporter would ever do that to a man. Like, I saw a lot of people like Xena Cato, who covers the Warriors. Like, can you imagine if I said something that weird to Klay Thompson or Steph Curry, how that would be interpreted? So I'm not looking for this guy to lose his job or anything, but just a jackass move. And he should know going forward, like, if you're going to cover women's sports, don't make it, weird and creepy and sexual like that. That was stupid.
Even more of a jackass move to write a whole article on it just so you can get clicks on your website. Like, writing a whole web apology on your like, you don't need that long drawn out of an apology. It doesn't take an entire article to understand what you did was wrong. I don't even know what the right thing to say is there. Like, we all say like, "Oh yeah, you could just admit that you were wrong, say you'll work on it and move on." Like, that was bad. That was really bad. And I don't think a lot of, as far as I know, Greg Doyle's been in the game for a while.
Yes.
Kind of when he was from a time when, the writers and journalists were kind of kings around the press box, and around those press conferences. It's like, almost to the point where it's not like an honor for them to cover the players. It's like an honor for the players to be covered by those people, like growing up in that time. And I think that he just, I really don't think that he, along with a lot of probably the journalists from an older generation, maybe understand how to cover women's sports appropriately, or at least some of them don't. At least maybe Greg Doyle specifically, and I'm sure there's a fair few out there. There's no one I'm thinking of by name really, but there's got to be some others who this could happen to.
Yeah.
As long as like the WNBA continues to get more and more popular, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, no, it's just, just don't don't be creepy. Don't
Hmm.
like need to semi hit on the woman that you're covering. It was a bad look all the way around. So, yeah, I thought it was a jackass move to equally, in equal parts of being a jackass, to say that in the press conference and then write an article about it so people can read his shit. He
Yeah,
basically should apologize to Caitlin Clark the next time he sees her. That's what I
yeah,
think.
for sure.
Little pop culture catch up, and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
All right, let's do it. You and I were talking about. Well, you watch anything other than Taskmasters lately?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
then I
It's
won't
all
even go there.
Taskmaster.
Okay, you and I were texting about this. I saw the news last week. It was announced, and this has been talked about for a long time now, that Scorsese wants to do something like this. There is going to be a Frank Sinatra biopic with, you guessed it, Leonardo DiCaprio playing Frank Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
Because can't be a Scorsese movie without old Leo. God, how many movies have they done together? Like 8, 9 now,
Quite a
including
few.
this. Yeah. So I don't know when this is coming out, but yeah, the plan is for DiCaprio to play Frank Sinatra, and I guess Jennifer Lawrence will play Ava Gardner. Um, and my initial reaction is, how old's DiCaprio now? In his mid 40s.
Yeah.
And when I think of Frank Sinatra, I just don't think of Leonardo DiCaprio. Like he's got to pull off the voice. He can't like DiCaprio has kind of a boyish voice, I would say. Like he doesn't really sound like a man. He just sounds like we're just kind of used to him from his child acting days. So like, Titanic and all that shit. And whenever I hear him, I don't think he still sounds young to me. So he could probably pull this off from, the way he looks. Um, a young Sinatra to an older Sinatra maybe. But like he's got to sound like Sinatra. He's got to like, "Hey baby doll, give me that drink over there." He's got to like do the whole thing. He's got to sound like Phil Hartman. And Phil Hartman did an amazing job as
Right.
Frank Sinatra on Saturday Night Live. More comical with the, "Hey, I'm not afraid of you. I got guys like you. I got chunks of guys like you in my stool."
Right.
Great line. So I don't know if I'm buying DiCaprio as Sinatra, but it could be good. It could be good.
I'm in on it.
Yeah.
Leo's a top 3 actor for me, so I'm in on whatever he does. If they
All
want to
right.
take on Sinatra, then so be it. Let Scorsese and DiCaprio take on Sinatra. I'm all for it. I don't really know who the other option would be,
Yeah, that's the thing.
and I trust Scorsese to do right by him. I think I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, as long as it's not, 4 hours, I'll be into it. Because
It
he's
will
been
be.
going.
It, it,
Yeah.
it will be 3 hours and 23 minutes, no
Oh,
doubt.
it'll be every waking moment of Sinatra's life, but he's got to do an honest portrayal because you and I were texting about it, and Sinatra, interesting guy, but yeah, we all know about his, you know, womanizing ways and hey, look at here, toots, give me a drink, or like what did he say? The famous thing from Saturday Night Live was when he told Sinead O'Connor, like, chill out, Baldy, when she like ripped out a picture of the Pope. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if DiCaprio can pull off like the jackass. Well, I guess he could. He's done it like Wolf of Wall Street and stuff like that. But we were comparing. So DiCaprio is going to play Sinatra, and Timothy Chalamet is going to play Bob Dylan.
Yes.
Okay. I buy DiCaprio more as Sinatra than I do Chalamet playing Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah, the tweet that I sent you, he looks like Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day,
Yes.
just playing Bob Dylan. And I'm sorry, but Timothy Chalamet's like he's way too pretty. He's way too like handsome, to just to play Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's kind of a scruffy looking guy, um, gritty in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas Timothy Chalamet, it's like he's not gritty. Like
No, he's a pretty boy.
every movie he's played so far, it's well, he's sometimes played really just sad, very depressing characters, but at the same time, you also see him playing like kings or princes, as you just saw in Dune, whatever he was, Lisan al Gaib, or the king in literally the movie The King. I just don't see where Chalamet can work, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, DiCaprio as Sinatra, not nearly as bad as Chalamet as Bob Dylan. I just can't see that.
If both actors pull off the voice, then I'll buy it. But I think Chalamet got that role 90% because of his hair. His hair looks like Bob Dylan. The rest of
Probably,
it's like he's got to do the best impression of Bob Dylan is not even Bob Dylan. It's John C. Reilly as Dewey Cox in Walk Hard, just doing Bob Dylan voices. The twisted birth canal and the three-eyed monkey of the Coliseum.
sounded like Randy Newman.
It's basically what it is.
That's what it sounded.
The times they are changing.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Not sold on that one.
Yeah, I definitely would buy DiCaprio a little bit more as Sinatra now that I think about it. Over Chalamet. All right, Steven. Anything else?
See, there's going to be the roast of Tom Brady.
I did see that on Netflix, right?
Yeah, going to be live on Netflix. Kevin Hart, the roast master.
Yeah, they couldn't do like Bill Burr, who's actually like a Patriots fan.
Yeah, he better get on the dais. They got to have him. They got to have Peyton Manning. I would rather they have Seth MacFarlane doing the hosting because I think Seth MacFarlane was all time doing that stuff. But I also wonder what the roasts are going to be like. Is it going to be a roast of actually Tom Brady? Because those Comedy Central roasts, yeah, they weren't really roasts of the actual person. Like, sure, they'd roast the person, but more it was roasting those who were on the dais. So I wonder how it's going to
go. You think Belichick shows up?
No way. Oh my
God,
no way.
Do you think Robert Kraft shows up?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Trump shows up?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, did they roasted Trump before he became president, right?
Yes. Yeah. I tried watching that actually. It was pretty recent. I watched that and Jesse had me turn it off. She didn't want to hear his voice anymore.
That's fair.
Which makes sense because this was, pre 2016 and all of them were just joking about him being president. And then it all came true. Did you see that he was trending on Twitter earlier today because of the hush money trial?
Trump? No.
Yeah, it was the hashtag. This was trending. Hashtag Trump smells like ass. Because I guess he was farting in the courtroom.
I smell like ass. It's the best ass you ever smelled before. You walk to the room and say, "Oh, this ass smells great."
No one has ever farted like Donald Trump. You have not smelled a fart like mine. My farts are the best.
It smells like sweet chocolate.
Melania can tell you, I pull off the Dutch oven in our bedroom all the time. She can tell you my farts, they smell good.
Oh, man. So Jesse didn't like us doing that impression right now, right? Probably.
No, that's fine. I could do the impression. It's just when the jokes are on about
when it's actually him. Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're making jokes and it's fun, and then you kind of know that he gets the last laugh.
Yeah. This guy will never be fucking president, and then
then he was. Yep.
Yeah, I'm still dreading this November. All right, real quick before we get out of here. Did you see that they approved the name change for the Oakland airport?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, it's official.
Ugh.
San Francisco, Harbor Bay, Oakland, or whatever the fuck it's called. San Francisco's in the title now, or it will be whenever they officially make this change. And I think it's stupid. It's more of a pride thing, an East Bay pride thing of like, can't just Oakland have things on its own? Do we have to incorporate San Francisco in order for it to be more popular? I get it, though. It's a business thing, whatever. The funny part about it, though, is SFO is suing them now. Like, they didn't get clearance to do this. Like, San Francisco Airport is now pissed off that they've taken their actual name and put it on their airport. So now they have a shitstorm on their hands. Like, this is fucking Airport Gate.
Wow. That's annoying.
Extremely.
So
Stupid.
they didn't even come to an agreement?
No, they made this change and immediately SFO sued them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
What a beautiful country we live in.
All right, on that note, Steven's trying to get to bed. Where are we at in this Lakers-Nuggets game?
Nuggets were kind of
Ooh.
clawing back a little bit.
Let's go, Nuggy Nugs. Let's go. I would love to see the Lakers get swept again. All right, Steven. Be back here on Wednesday?
Yep.
All right, we'll do it. We'll I think Daniel Jeremiah will come out with his mock draft hours before we go live, so we'll react to that. And hell, get ready, Steven. I'm gonna do my own mock draft.
Oh.
How do you like that?
All right.
The night before the draft, I'm mocking. And I will give you my quick evaluations of all the defensive players. Just the defensive linemen and defensive backs. Won't take too much time, I promise everybody. And the names are much easier than the offensive linemen.
Yes.
Olu Fashanu. I think I nailed it. All right. Hopefully I go home and I notice that my Wi-Fi's back. Fingers crossed. To everybody in the chat tonight, boy, we had a good crowd tonight. To Tacky, that son of a bitch who can never hang the entire time. To the Ernies, to Walter Igabal Celta, to Jesse, to AJ Cruz. I don't think Otis Berg was here tonight. Danny Golding TV, was he here? I think he was. Yep. All right, that covers it for now. To everybody else, if I didn't mention you, I'm sorry, but hopefully you'll be back for next time. No skills. Hopefully everybody comes for next Wednesday or this Wednesday, whatever it is. All right, I'm done rambling. See you guys on Wednesday. Steven, say what you always say.
My farts are the best. It's just my opinion, man. Oh, that was bad, Trump.